Hey everybody, welcome on back to the Rubbin Racing Podcast. It's myself, it's Spider, it's Quigs, it's Moonhead, and it's Jacob. Belated happy birthday to Jacob. On this episode, we're going to have Taylor Gray coming on in a little bit to talk about his dust up with Sammy this weekend, which seems to be the buzz of the NASCAR world. So we're going to break it down as well. Before we get started, we'd like to thank Ryan Priest for coming on last week. I thought it was awesome. One thing that I will like to point out is that Ryan doesn't know what my name is, so he calls me different adjectives for a sizable person. I believe he called me big on the podcast. Spider, I think he might have texted you or something. Maybe you referred to me as huge. He just can't seem to get the large part in. So from now on, as a running gag, I will be calling him Brian Priest. If you ever hear me mention a driver named Brian Priest, know that it's Ryan Priest, who scored another top 10. Brian Priest did this weekend. Congratulations to him.
The Rubbin bump.
Yeah, absolutely. And this episode is brought to you by Body Armor Flash IV, which is packed with electrolytes and provides faster and longer lasting hydration with absolutely no artificial flavors, sweeteners, or dyes. And with great tasting flavors like strawberry kiwi and tropical punch, Body Armor Flash IV gives your body the rehydration it needs to recover. This is the IV that I have in front of me. I know that Spider just took down a bottle before he came on because he was on one of those late night streams again. Spider, you streaming until 3 a.m. again?
Yeah, I was. I was also at a Bulls game having a couple pops. So, Body Armor, we thank you for getting me up to health today. I'm certainly feeling more hydrated than I woke up feeling after last night. So, thank you.
Nothing brings you back like Body Armor Flash IV. You can get yours at a local 7-Eleven or on Amazon today. We go headlines. So we'll start with the headlines that Sam Smith was given a big fine for what had happened on the track at the Xfinity race on Saturday. I have the quote from Sam Smith afterwards. He got docked 50 driver's points and a $25,000 fine. And it seems like everyone is very, very mad at this kid. So I just want to get everyone's take on what had happened in the Xfinity race on Saturday. Before you even say that, just to give you guys some ammo, I'm going to read what Sammy had said. I mean, it's unfortunate. I'm not very proud of that, what I did. It's just he has no respect for me, and he was flipping me off under the red flag, swerving at my door. I moved him into turn one. Then he still had to lead those two restarts, and going back on the straightaway, I thought to myself, what would he do in this situation? And he would have done the exact same thing. So he's flipping me off, and that right there was the line for me to ultimately make the decision I made. Smith indicated that he had issues with Gray that were long-running grievances dating back through years of racing together, and indicated that their brief conversation was not constructive. This is Sammy again. He said he wants to go at it. I mean, we can go at it all he wants, but I think, at the end of the day, it's probably going to be a lot more going forward, and that's okay with me. Those are strong words. So what do we think about an Xfinity race on Saturday that has been panned by just about everybody who watches races? What do we think, Spider? I'll go with you first.
Yeah, I hated the move, to be honest with you. Sammy Smith, in one part that was not mentioned in your quote, was he got on the mic and said, "I'm not proud of that, but you absolutely have to do that." And I just think that's a bad quote. And that I read that and I was like, yikes. I think there's fundamental lack of respect on the Xfinity level. And I don't know who said this. I think it might have been a driver, but there's nothing wrong with finishing P2, P3 after a good showing. To me, that's better than, just wrecking out the entire field, wrecking your teammate who's competing for the Dash for Cash prize and getting the whole field pissed off at you in the meantime. I can't imagine JRM or Dale Jr. was pumped about what happened. And I think he has a pretty reasonable barometer of, frustration and reaction to some of these on-track racing events. Granted, his team was directly involved in this one, but, he not only was Sammy Smith taken out, Justin Allgaier's day was ruined. And I hated it for Taylor Gray, who we're going to have on the show here in a minute.
Figs, what you think? I mean, and Spider is going to throw some stats out when we talk to Taylor. So we will talk about the race in a little bit more in depth, obviously, in the interview. But all the cautions, 104 laps under yellow, I think we had on Saturday. It was tough to watch when it wasn't a demolition derby. What's your take on the race?
Yeah, well, I'm okay to an extent of like Xfinity kind of being a shit show, and I think it can be fun sometimes. That was a complete shit show. But I think we found Sammy Smith's trigger is the middle finger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's like LeBron's got. You can't call LeBron a bitch. Like LeBron's trigger word is bitch. You can call him anything else, but bitch. He's had teammates cut. That's the only thing that makes him mad. I think Sammy Smith, you flick him off, and
That's his.
he'll do
That's his
anything
horns
after that.
down.
Yeah, the
Right?
horns
Like
down.
everyone
Yeah,
loses their fucking minds with this, so that's it for him.
yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to see if Gray will flip us off later on just so I can see how potent that finger was. Moonhead, you tend to be a fan of chaos. What did you think about Saturday's race?
It was a little much, but at the same time, it was entertaining. I think the last lap kind of tainted a lot of people's memory of the race because it was bad leading up to that. But to me, I didn't think it was really anything unheard of for Xfinity on a short track. But and then Sammy Smith, in real time, it looked terrible. I mean, arguably worse than the Austin Dillon debacle at Richmond last year. Hearing that they have history makes it make a little bit more sense why he would lose his mind in such a way, but still, it was a really, really bad look on his part and really dumb because he could have had a really good points day and a really good day for their team, and he kind of ruined it not only for himself but his teammates. So that's pretty bad. But overall, I hope it doesn't taint the Xfinity series. A lot of times I feel like race fans and just the industry and the racing world in general, we react a little too emotionally to some of these things and let one race kind of change the whole landscape to where now people are saying we need like avoidable contact penalties at random points in the race. And I don't think we're anywhere close to needing that yet. I think NASCAR kind of hit the nail on the head, taking almost a win's worth of points away from Sammy Smith and a good bit of money, and the public shaming that comes along with this too, that I'm sure has made Sammy second guess himself.
I agree with Moonhead, but I also simultaneously disagree. Like you look at the truck race, and Taylor will talk about this as well, but they've just been so clean. And then you go and there's 15 cautions, and it's like, I don't know. It's crazy to me that this is, just a step below Cup, and this is the result we're getting. Not to say it's not entertaining when there's wrecks or drama or carnage. Like that's a big reason why I like this sport. But sometimes I feel as though they go past the line and they just cross the line with too much. And I think 15 cautions is just insane. And then that finish, as much as you said, it's like recency bias. It's just going to be hard for me to shake that for, I don't know. I mean, I look at the truck race week after week, finishing under green flag, and it's like, oh, wow, these guys got it figured out. But yet you go to the next level up, and it's like just everyone's out there going crazy. And I think to Moonhead's point about it being dumb, not only was it dumb on track move from Sammy Smith, but also like in the sound bites that came out thereafter were just absolutely insane. Like one, deny. I mean, he came right out and admitted it, which I think just opened him up for a fine. So I think he doubled down on the dumbness, in my opinion. And I would like to see a little bit more cleaner Xfinity racing, as much as I do appreciate and enjoy the drama and the chaos occasionally.
Insult to injury, NASCAR fined both Jeb Burton and Taylor Gray $5,000 apiece for going into the Infield Care Center to confront Sammy. Right. So Mike Ford, the NASCAR's managing director of racing communications, said the care center is almost an on-site hospital. So the drivers and any competitor that enters the area should have a sense of decorum while there. So hallowed ground, Infield Care Center. I don't know if all the drivers know that. I really don't know if it's one of those things where there's a tremendous amount of respect for it, but I've also never seen people get fined for talking shit at the Infield Care Center. Is this out of the ordinary? Moon, do you know of anyone who's gotten to a rumble next to a stretcher?
I haven't heard of this penalty before, so it leads me to believe that it wasn't. I think Gray went after Smith, and then I think Jeb Burton was mad at Daniel Dye. So I don't know the whole Daniel Dye and Jeb Burton thing, so I don't really know what was going on there, if it was actually in the care center. That would be my guess, because we've seen people argue outside of it before. I would guess something went down inside there that NASCAR wasn't happy with.
I didn't see what happened with Jeb Burton, but I mean, I kind of agree. Like, there should be, I don't know, if you're gonna fight a dude, make sure there's a camera there, in my opinion. I also think it was kind of cowardly by Sammy Smith, just like talking shit when he had like 4 dudes standing behind him. And that same security guard that was splitting them up, I actually got to speak to at Atlanta earlier this year. A great dude. I believe his name is Stan. Shout out Stan. And he told me, I said to him, I often go on our show and I'm like, dude, stop breaking him up so quick. Stop, let him scrap. It'll be good for ratings. And his response to me was, these guys don't understand. We will let them throw the first punch, but once there's a punch thrown, we step in and we split them up. So I don't know. My advice to these drivers that are going to beef is, 1, do it in front of the camera, and 2, just land the first punch and be the first to throw, and then they split you up. So I think that was the only thing that was missing from Saturday, as much as there were kind of confrontations, as they're calling them.
I don't think this is a bad rule to have, though. Probably just shouldn't be fighting in like
agree.
Which 90% of the time the guys are in
doing such a good job, Quigs.
What?
You have nowhere to go but sneak into the fucking hospital and fuck people up.
That's
you know
true.
what I mean?
And 90% of the time the guys are in there for just to check the box and everyone's fine. But like, it's like, do you remember it wasn't in the care center, but when Bubba and Alex Bowman had the thing where Alex Bowman is like dying outside his car and Bubba's trying to fight him,
and he threw water on him,
and Bowman has like no idea what's going on. Like, it's like one of those where you like walk into the care center and just fighting a guy who's like,
we need a hospital cam, like a little security cam.
That'd be great.
In the
I mean,
corner.
they should have. Well, that might be HIPAA.
Yeah, you're right.
I will echo Moonhead's sentiment in saying that people shouldn't give up on Xfinity because of this one sloppy race, because it has been putting out some great races and oftentimes better than what we see on Sundays. But Joey Logano, I believe, was on Sirius, and he had said, use himself as an example, that he's been getting paid to drive since he's 15. Like, someone's been paying he's had an owner to answer to since he's 15 years old. The way the NASCAR is set up now, these kids that are bring their own sponsorship have essentially become their own owners, right? Because they're bringing all that shit to the party. So the owners don't necessarily have that, I don't know, boss mentality over them, because they're almost paying for their own ride, right? So does that need to change? Because there's also talk about, where's the senior leadership? Where's a guy like Allgaier coming in, stepping in, and setting some of these kids straight? It's not his fucking job to be a parent. So I'm just wondering, is Xfinity building a program that will create, and again, these are Dale Jr.'s words, spoiled punks. He said that's what Sammy is being looked at now. Spoiled punks who might not have any success when they move up to Sundays, right? And they're going against like real racers where they can't pull this shit. So is this almost Xfinity's fault, just the way that it's set up right now?
I wouldn't blame it on the series itself, and I think I've been probably unfairly critical of the Xfinity series, which I truly love. But I think, unfortunately, the nature of the sport is people that bring money and dollars and can provide their own, sponsorship or whatever funding are always going to have more opportunities in this sport. That's been that way for a long time, and I think it's especially prevalent on the Xfinity series. A lot of these young kids do come from rich families, which again is not a problem. But to me, the problem lies with you have to respect the equipment. You have to respect the opportunity and be aware of, your surroundings. You can't just go out and make a mockery of things, which I feel like sometimes happens. And I feel like that was the case this past Saturday. So I think it's just a matter of respect. And unfortunately, I don't really see how that's going to go away. I mean, I think there will always be kind of rich young kids that are funding their way into the sport, and that's how it's been. That's how it will be. There's nothing wrong with that. To me, what's wrong with it is when you go and drive like, an absolute asshole. So that's kind of where I draw the line.
We're going to move on to a couple more headlines. The rest of these headlines brought to you by Game Time. They don't make it easy to buy concert tickets these days. You got to sign up for the pre-sale, get in the queue, and by the time you get through, the best seats are gone. Going to a concert should be about the show itself, not waiting in a virtual line. Lucky for me, I always use Game Time, the official ticketing partner of Barstool Sports. It makes getting tickets faster and easier prices on the app actually go down the closer it gets to showtime. I was looking at tickets for Sexy Red, and I saw an amazing game time pick for great seats. So only for like a couple of $100. So now I'm going to go buy Sexy Red tickets thanks to Game Time with Game Time picks. And you're saying, Large, I'd like to go to shows like that too. Here's how you do it. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code Rubbin for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code RUBBIN for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. What time is it? It's game time. What else is going on inside of headlines? I will tell you. The Sammy Smith fine is going to not be fought by, so they're not going to fight that fine. JR Motorsports will not appeal the penalty. Jeb Burton had issued a public apology. He's going to pay it. Taylor Gray has to pay his $5,000. We'll find out exactly who's going to pay that out of Taylor Gray's pocket or perhaps somebody else when he comes on in a little bit. Austin Cindric is got nothing as far as for penalties or fines for his move on Riley Herbst. It looks like if you look at the tape, Allmendinger kind of moved up. It was ruled a racing incident. So no more real fines to talk about. SVG guys got banged because he had a tire fall off. I was laughing about that, obviously, but otherwise nothing big in that world. One of the headlines that it hit is Amazon Prime Video will serve as a presenting sponsor of Kyle Larson's attempt in May to complete 2 of the auto racing's crown jewel events in a single day, and will produce a feature-length documentary chronicling his 2-year journey to pull off that feat. The doc will air in 2026. Holy shit. Kyle Larson is getting a fucking documentary made. This is going to make Kyle Larson perhaps the most cocky guy to ever get behind a fucking wheel of a car. Do you think this is one that a documentary should be made of, trying to do the Indianapolis 500 and the 600 in the same day?
Yeah, I think that's kind of a rhetorical question, but mine would be an astounding yes. I feel like last season when his efforts for that race kind of got derailed by rain, that was a big talking point and, an extended storyline that people spoke at length of. And I think not a lot of casual fans know what all goes into it, at least from my perspective. That's something that I would love to learn more about, seeing the behind the scenes of the logistics of getting from Indy to Charlotte and, up against the clock and stuff like that. And the other thing I'll say is all these people that are like skeptical and reluctant to welcome Amazon into the sport are kind of, a little bit quick with that assumption, because I'm of the position where so many people have Amazon, just like so many people subscribe to Netflix. And then what did they do? They just randomly put on this F1 series. And next thing you know, all these people that didn't care about racing now are diehard fake F1 fans. And I've spoken how I feel about people that just watch the F1 doc. But my point is, Amazon has such a big customer base that this just seems like a very good onboarding ramp for getting new fans in the sport, whether it be, this documentary or there are other efforts that we've talked about in the past on this show. So hopefully this will help onboard new fans. And I think, this will be something that's interesting to non-motorsports fans to begin with as well. I mean, I often watch documentaries of stuff that I really don't have substantial interest in or don't know a lot about. And then, the documentary will teach me something and I get a little bit more interested, whether it be sushi or whatever the fuck. I watched a great one on sushi on Netflix the other day. That's why. So yeah, my point is, I think it's a win all the way around, and I don't know. I think I speak for the whole cast when I say that we welcome that with open
arms. You don't
arms.
speak to me. You do not fucking.
All right, so
Yeah,
break it down for me.
Take two.
Yeah, break it down for me, guys. How does this upset you?
NASCAR better not have an ounce of promotion about this from the way they treated him last year. And that was my big issue with the whole thing last year, was they were tweeting about how cool it was that he was doing the double and had all these graphics and things about that. And then they're like, once things went wrong, they were like, how dare he should be focused on NASCAR, blah, blah.
Let me play devil's advocate. It's the same thing. Anytime there's a fight, people are like, oh, NASCAR main account will post this, but then simultaneously find these guys.
Yeah.
Like, as a social guy yourself, Quigs, aren't you going to post the best stuff? You know what I mean? If there's a clip that gets engagement, that's something you. And also, I'm on the
side of if you're going to post the fights, don't
penalize them.
penalize them.
I see. I mean, yes and no. I mean, I
Well,
I guess
I'm
that's
going to ask that question then, because and even though we're backtracking a little bit, will Xfinity use this in a commercial for next year at Martinsville?
I think
will they use Sammy Smith all of a sudden get outside the fucking care center? Like what?
yeah, they will.
I think they'd be foolish not to.
But this is just like the NASCAR cycle of like everyone. We got a short track coming up. Everyone's excited. They're talking about the drama. They're thinking about who's going to move who, all this stuff, and then it happens, and then everyone freaks out. They create drama around it, and then a little time goes by, and then the next short track comes up, and everybody's like, "Oh, drama! Let's see who pays back who." Blah blah blah, and then it goes again. Like, and it's fun, and I do the same thing, and I enjoy it. But it's just the cycle that happens every year in all these races.
Moon.
Well, I agree 100% with Quiggs right there, because we all know if that Xfinity race didn't have 15 cautions, everybody'd be saying how boring it was, or this, that, and the other. But I don't see any negatives with the documentary. I think it's great, but I do 100% agree with Quiggs that it is shitty that NASCAR promoted the hell out of it last year, then played the whole waiver thing, making it look like they weren't going to give him the waiver, and everybody kind of piled onto him and said that he should have chose NASCAR over IndyCar, and then they turn around and give an IndyCar guy a Daytona 500 provisional for doing nothing. So I think going into it, Larson's kind of gotten the shaft from NASCAR on a lot of this, but that said, there's no negative to exposing more people to the sport, especially something as cool as the double that's going to appeal to not just the people who care about NASCAR or Kyle Larson, but just people who know what the Indy 500 is, and that's like the biggest race in the world. So I think it's positive all around.
Do we know when they started filming? Like, are they going to have?
So they started filming before. So he's had a film crew with him before he started this journey last year.
Oh, okay, so that's awesome. Because I was going to say the drama from last year's would be awesome to see all that behind the scenes.
That's why I jumped at Spider, and not for the same reason that you and Moonhead are so simpatico with. What if this one stinks? Like, what if he fucking, I don't know, blows it, whatever. What if he finishes P26, then barely gets to the track on time, and hits a fucking wall in the second lap? What do you do then? Like, what's the documentary going to be? The rain delay plus 2 shitty fucking races? I don't. You know what I'm saying?
I'll play devil's advocate again.
Please.
Who cares? Who cares?
I don't want to watch the fucking
well,
thing.
Then that's fine. Don't watch it. But at the same time, there's always a need for more promotion, especially in NASCAR. You feel any type of way you want about our show, but I mean, to me, if you're providing anything, that's a W. And I would feel the same way about other shows. That, like when I told people to go make their own podcast, that's great. I think everything, any attention is good attention. Any sort of effort is good effort. And that is the same with Amazon. And I think you're like, one, we're talking about one of the best drivers in the world. Two, we just had Christopher Bell on the pod, who came on and said he really wants to race in the Indy 500 because it's so much more than motorsports. Even people who don't care about racing will tune into the Daytona 500 and the Indy 500. And now one of our best drivers is doing that. 3, he did it last year and seemingly did it well. So I can't wait to see this personally, and I think you guys are being way too critical of it, to be honest with you.
I think it's because I'm critical of IndyCar.
Maybe, and I'll hear that, but
I've picked my side, and if you want to have a fucking great documentary, I don't know, follow Kyle Larson around and he wins the Cup Series championship. I'll watch that.
Yeah,
fuck IndyCar. No, I'm just kidding.
Also, the take you have works the opposite way of if he has a great finish at IndyCar. This is the storylines of everything leading up is an unbelievable documentary.
But what if he has a great? I don't know. I don't know why I'm so negative on this. Like, maybe it's better for IndyCar than it is for NASCAR.
We're reviewing the movie before we saw it, basically.
Exactly, before it's fucking made. Let's move on. Legacy Motor Club's patience has run out. That's a quote. Filing a lawsuit against Rick Ware Racing, claiming the latter got cold feet after agreeing to sell a charter. I can't believe I'm hosting a NASCAR podcast, co-hosting a NASCAR podcast, and we talk about legal shit so much on this fucking podcast. Does anyone have any feelings about Rick Ware potentially fucking Legacy out of getting a third charter?
Yeah, shot in the dark here. And I think
Well, hold on a sec. Is this a Spidey scoop or a
no,
guess?
no, this is a Spidey's looking up at the stars and he sees a constellation that everyone will be like, what the hell is that? How's that an Orion's belt? But I'm telling you it is.
I love those two. I love those as my. I thought you had a scoop, and I got very.
I got a
excited.
constellation for you. I'm
Give me
going
a
to connect some
constellation.
stars up above.
Give me-
There has been, well, I guess, kind of a scoop. It has been brought to my attention privately that Corey LaJoie is trying to secure his own charter or some sort of ownership stake in a team, whether that be partial or, you know, looking for investors to help do it with him.
Oh.
And he wants to get back driving in the Cup Series. Now he's also been driving. I guess drove for Rick Ware Racing at the Daytona 500 and, you know, trying to get more cup looks by way of Rick Ware this year in that 01 car. Who's to say that Rick Ware and Corey LaJoie, who have been, you know, working together since February, have not been like having conversations with other people like, hey, you know, we want that charter for Corey. We want Corey back in the Cup Series. That would be my perspective. I don't see why Rick Ware would be reluctant and open themselves up to another lawsuit again, which neither Large, I, Quiggs, or Moonhead know anything about the legality of this shit. But to me, it seems like there might have been something there, whether they found secured funding for this potential ownership, and Corey LaJoie might now have an opportunity to be back in the Cup Series by way of Rick Ware Racing, and they might have had spoken too soon to Legacy about their willingness to part with that charter in question. So that's where I'm at, and I don't really have any explanation for this outside of that. I mean,
you got a feeling. You're reading the tea leaves.
I'm reading the tea leaves.
I fucking love it because I don't know what to think about this. Anyone else know anything? Moon, what do you know about this?
I think that that's a good guess because it confuses the hell out of me. Everything I've read, I didn't know, and I'm not a legal expert, but I didn't really know that you could not have a deal, but have a deal that there's going to be a deal, and then from the sounds of it, back out of the deal and get sued for not doing the deal. So it blows my mind. So we'll have to see. But yeah, Spider, that seems like a good guess.
Yeah,
Quake or anything?
Me? Well, my take is basically what Large texted into the group, so I'll let him say it. But what he said,
yeah, maybe God doesn't want Legacy to have a third car. They don't deserve it.
I don't think they.
I just got fucking doxxed.
Yeah, I'm releasing the.
He saved the
message.
receipts.
But yeah, I just don't see any reason for them to be doing anything other than downsizing.
Who, Legacy?
Yeah.
All right, so let's go the other way. You think Rick Ware should keep growing their enterprise?
No, I just think.
I think a lot of people will have the take that Quiggs did, and I'm again going to play devil's advocate. To me, if Legacy becomes a 3-charter team and has 3 cars, which I mean, I guess sometimes they do. Granted, Jimmy Johnson's part-time, but if they have 3 full-time charters, who's to say they don't move up in the Toyota hierarchy, that they don't get more support and love and attention? Yeah. Who's to say if they're not going to the courts over potentially trying to keep Corey Heim, a Toyota driver, in the Toyota family by way of adding this charter? And now that that's kind of seemingly gone awry, they're, again, going back to the courts and settling this with litigation. To me, if anything, this is bullish news for Legacy Motor Club. And Large, I hope I use that word bullish correctly. I know that's like a Wall Street word.
It's like a NFL team that they can't sell tickets to their games and they decide to build a new stadium.
Yeah.
And maybe that will like make people come more, but maybe you're just putting another 500 million into something that the fans still aren't going to care because you have no success.
They believe in what they're doing, Quiggs. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they think they have the opportunity to be. So you're consistent with this. Eric Jones was disqualified. All I could think about was Quiggs smiling about it.
Yeah.
You know I mean? You have to believe in the growth of your team, right?
What has been their most successful
Stop.
moment.
I think the beginning of the season when John Hunter had 2 top 5 finishes.
Yeah, that's
And granted, they're at kind of wild card places, but
well.
I don't
Both
know.
these
Hope
look
they
like
get
they're
that
gonna win it.
charter.
Yeah. Full schedule for the All-Star Weekend in North Wilkesboro has been announced, and it's packed. Thursday, they have the Reverend Whiskey 75 Pro Late Model feature. Friday, they got the Pit Crew Challenge and the ZMAX Cars Tour Late Model Stock feature. Harvick and Dale Jr. will be in the broadcast for that. Saturday, Truck Series, Window World 250 race, a Jake Owen concert Saturday night, and then Sunday you'll have the All-Star Open, the All-Star Race for $1 million. Also, the Wheel and Modified Tour Practice Qualifying feature, all on Sunday. So that's a Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Is this out of the ordinary? Moon, I'm going to ask you. Is this out of the ordinary for All-Star Weekend? It seems like a packed fucking schedule that people need to get to that track early for.
Yeah, so the past few years they've done a similar schedule, but the Cars Tour had been earlier in the week on like Wednesday, and it had been kind of spread out, and the Cars Tour wasn't on TV, and it was just kind of like two separate deals. So by the time a lot of the NASCAR fans got there to camp for the weekend, some of the racing was already over, but now they've moved all the late model stuff basically to be a part of the All-Star Weekend. The late model stocks will be on Fox, like you said. So basically from Thursday night all the way to Sunday night, there's racing or on-track activity or concerts or something going on pretty much at all times. So I think it's going to be a great week. It's going to be rough on my liver probably because I'll be out there all week, but I'm looking forward to it. I think All-Star Week's one of those weeks that needs to feel like a big event, and they're doing a really, really good job with it up in Wilkesboro.
Where will you be staying when you're in Wilkesboro? Is that close? No, like what do you do?
So I'm hauling this deer camper, we call it. It's what some of my buddies take to deer camp. I'm hooking up to it, and I'll just drop it somewhere up there near the track, and I'll stay there for the week. But I live pretty close, so I can come home if I need to, but I don't make it home usually.
The more I
Large,
learn about Moonhead, the less I have in common with them. You know what I mean? Like that. I don't know. That's not a spa day for me. What'd you say, Spider?
I was going to say, you got to be pumped that our guy Jake Owen will be there. We got one of NASCAR's biggest fans performing on the All-Star Weekend, so I think that's another win as well.
Yeah, no comment on that. Who's your favorite driver? Dale Senior.
Name a couple.
Yeah, so it looks like it's going to be a very good weekend. So I'm hoping that everyone shows up for that. What did you guys think of the race? Denny leads 274 out of the last 275 laps. He gets his 55th win, his first with the new crew chief. He ties Rusty Wallace for 11th, and by coincidence at a track where Rusty won his 55th. I mean, I'm happy for Denny. It was dominating performance by him. The 11 versus the world type flag. What did we think about the whole thing? Welcoming back Denny to Winners Lane.
Yeah, I got a couple takes on that, particularly the flag thing. And I'll go back to the Miami vlog we filmed at the end of last season when we brought Dave to the track, and Denny and Dave were razzing me for quote unquote rooting for whatever drivers up front. Well, Denny, it's kind of funny now that you're flying the Ohio State flag and you became an Ohio State football fan after their great run in the college football playoff. Seems a little hypocritical to me, Dennis.
Is that true?
Yeah, that's exactly true. Now Tate loves Denny Hamlin while simultaneously hating Riley Herbst because Riley in our Daytona vlog was like,
Oh, yeah.
Jerry, what happened with Jerry After Dark? I'm such a bigger fan of you than I am that Tate guy. But no, I mean, I thought it was great. It's great to see Denny go back to victory lane, and now with new sponsorship that he secured and found for himself after there were some question marks about that, winning. And, I think maybe in our predictions episode earlier this year, we were a little bit concerned about, how well Denny would be running this year. And I think it's great to see him win. I think it's good to see, lasting veterans in the sport, which in a name where Kevin Harvick, Martin Truex, Clint Boyer, so many have stepped away in the last couple of years. To have a guy that's been there for an extended period of time, that's the closest thing to a household name in our sport. Remain in victory lane is great. So big win for Denny, his team, his sponsors, everyone associated. And I thought it was a great showing for Toyota. Bubba Wallace looked good. I think Toyota's finished 1, 2, 3. And then you had other guys I mean, I shouldn't say haven't, because Ryan Priest, who we had on the show, has been running really
What was
well.
that name? Brian Priest? Did you say?
Brian Priest got another top 10, which I thought was great.
Right,
Then
yeah.
you have guys like Ross Chastain and Todd Gilliland rounding out the top 10, which again are not the most flashy guys. I don't know. That seems kind of like critical of them, but you know
No,
what
not
I
at all.
mean.
Yeah.
Kind of unassuming top 10 finishers, which I thought was good. So you get a good parity in there, and you have good balance between veteran guys that have been running good, and then some guys that you wouldn't expect in the top 10. So overall, and it was clean. Not to say that that's always the best formula for an exciting race, but I think you have to tip your cap to the cleanliness of this race just a day after that Xfinity demolition derby. Did you guys feel any differently
Yeah,
about the race?
I mean, I think clean with enough drama
Right.
that things are happening on a short track. So I completely agree with you. I thought it was a very fun race.
Moonhead, did
Yeah,
I miss anything?
no, I think that they're making a step in the right direction with the short track stuff, because I know early on in the next gen days we weren't really looking forward to Martinsville, and now I felt like that had kind of some old Martinsville feels to it. It wasn't exactly what it used to be, but we at least had people getting mad at each other, and people able to make up spots and stuff like that. So I enjoyed it. The flag was a little weird to me, I'm not gonna lie, but we always complain about people not showing personality, so I don't want to complain that
No,
much.
just
But
complain about Denny being hypocritical. I didn't
well,
have
it
an
was
issue.
just kind of corny to me. Like I think a fan gave it to him though, and that makes it a little cooler. I thought
Well,
he had the thing made.
he does get booed really bad at Martinsville, right? And that's like is that his home track, or it's got to be very close to where he grew up in?
Richmond technically is,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's one of them.
Forgive me for not knowing Chesterfield geography, chat, but yeah, either way, I mean, it is kind of the flag itself. It like people seemingly he's a polarizing dude. They either love him or hate him. So to see him kind of become a heel, I think is like good for him for leaning into it. But
He says it's his superpower.
yeah,
Right. I mean, he said in the thing to have that kind of, it's his superpower. I kind of liken it to the guy he owns 2311 with, like Michael Jordan. When I watched The Last Dance, I just walked away saying, man, that guy's a jerk off. Like I wouldn't want to be on a plane with him where I just want to relax, and him saying, no, let's fucking, throw quarters for $25,000 a hand. I don't, you know what I mean? Like, I don't think Denny is there. We've hung out with Denny. We've had a good time. And even though he's uber competitive, one of the most competitive people I've ever seen, he's not a jerk off. And so I feel like very happy that he's he's winning again. And I hope that this is it creates that kind of momentum where he has a fantastic season. I know he says he'd look to retire after 60 wins. I don't know how tough those wins are going to be for him to get. I hope they're not tough at all. So it's a great win for him. Very happy for the 11 team, and the timing on it with Progressive just basically jumping on board is chef's kiss. For those people investing all that money into NASCAR for 18 races or whatever, and then to get that win, second race in,
yeah,
man, that's a very, very good thing for the 11 team. So congratulations.
It's a win-win because they probably got those 18 races at a little bit of a discount, given that they were without sponsorship. So I would imagine Joe Gibbs gave them a good price to lock up that many races, and then it's immediately paying dividends. They've done a great job promoting their sponsor, and then winning with them on the side in the hood is got to be a good thing. And in a name when we're losing flagship sponsors, whether it be M&M, FedEx, there's so many more I'm neglecting to name off the top, but to see a sponsor come in and commit to 18 races is as good and as good as you can want for a driver. And I think every year that goes by, we're getting more and more one-off races, as Ryan Priest alluded to in our interview with him last week. But having a consistent paint scheme, I think, is good, and it's kind of nostalgic in the sense where there wasn't a lot of change, not that long ago, and these sponsors were long-lasting.
Smithfield Bacon is
Yeah.
another one that I miss. Ty Gibbs calling Tyler Reddick a little fucker.
Yeah.
Get me away from that little fucker. I mean, both guys can't ride on every roller coaster, I don't think. And, so using that is crazy. But there was a lot of smoke in this. Ty Gibbs, Tyler Reddick, Joey Logano, Ross Chastain, Noah Gragson, Chris Buescher, and Austin Cindric and Riley Herbst. Do you find that Austin Cindric had kind of flipped a switch here this season, like just in his actions? And do you think that switch was flipped when he gave you that pound at Daytona, Spider? Because I know it was a wake up call for us with this guy's fucking intensity. He seems like a little bit of a different driver this season, no?
Yeah, and I'm not going to use the hot seat word because he's been running great. At least early in the season he was, and I think that he's probably a little bit less comfortable with his job now that his dad has kind of been reassigned within Team Penske. So I don't know if that has anything to do with it, but I don't know. I think he is racing a little bit more aggressive, and that might just be, what this season has provided. We saw guys like Carson Hocevar in the crosshairs for driving like a madman, and that could just be, this new what this series looks like now. Not to say it's like to the extent that the Xfinity level is, but I mean, I don't mind it, and I think these guys need to go. It's a hard league to win in. It's not easy. We see like random drivers, like I said, Josh Berry. Not to say again, not discrediting him, but he was 65-1 or 100-1, depending on when you bet him ahead of his win. So there's so much parity. A lot of drivers can win, and I think you need to have that kind of killer instinct and seize the opportunities as they come before you. So I won't really knock a guy for aggression, but I do think he's turned it up this year. Yeah, for sure.
I think it's probably the best setup he's ever had to win. Like, I think his skill and his car, that he's probably like net like this is the season to lock in.
Right. And it's also, to Quiggs's point, it is the season. I don't know how many cup starts he's made, but I would assume it's above the kind of high water mark of that 100 race range where we look at guys to actually start turning it on and as an actual result of the kind of driver they're going to be.
Yeah, and I think, to my point, I am being kind of goofy about it. So 115 races run over 4 years with 2 wins and 22 top tens. I think we had seen it firsthand, right? When he almost broke your fist.
Yeah.
He seems locked in for better or for worse. So it's just something that we casually notice.
While we're talking about that, Lodge, sorry to interrupt.
No.
Ty Gibbs officially now is the longest tenured Joe Gibbs Racing Cup driver without a win. It's formerly J.J. Yaley with the longest streak of 78. But after Sunday, Ty is now at 79 starts at Joe Gibbs Racing and 94 overall Cup starts. That last line kind of confused me. He's at 79 starts at JGR and 94 overall Cup starts.
I think that's outside of his full time.
That makes more sense. Yeah. But yeah, so Ty Gibbs, I mean, I guess he would be, he's rapidly approaching that 100 Cup start mark as well. So
and not really making progress forward.
Yeah. Yeah, but again, he's a guy that I feel like we could just be a Josh Berry and come out of when everyone's written him off.
He was having a good race on Sunday.
He was.
Yeah. So I was something and a couple of top tens. I think he's right back into it. I'd read something today. In order to get a win in the Cup Series, you have to put yourself in contention to win in the Cup Series at least 10, 20 times, right? Because there's so many things that happen outside of your own responsibility. All right, so let's put a bow on this week and see what's going on next week. And no better way to do that than to go 3 wide with Taylor Gray, which is going to be brought to you this week by Portillo's. Spider, what's going on with Portillo's?
Portillo's just launched a new loyalty program called Portillo's Perks. What does a Perks card do? You can scan it at the restaurant to track your visits, and you can earn badges and redeem surprise offers like free chicken sandwiches and merch. I personally love Portillo's. I was not a hot dog guy at all. And then I moved to Chicago, and I seemingly like hot dogs now. And we just came from Martinsville. Everyone there loves hot dogs. If you love hot dogs, there's no better place than Portillo's. I personally prefer Portillo style over Martinsville style. Walk it through the garden, as they say, as much as Chase Elliott wasn't too fond of it with our little hot dog excursion with him. If you dress it up and have a nice poppy seed bun like the ones they serve at Portillo's, you will not be disappointed. And I don't know. Portillo's is awesome. It's one of my go-to staple institution restaurants now, living in Chicago for nearly 2 years. So sign up for the Portillo's perks and you can get yourself a free large fry. I would recommend get the cheese sauce in there as well. Dip them. The cheese fries are elite. And you can sign up at portillos.com/perks. Don't miss it. Thank you, Portillo's, for your continued support. We love you, Portillo's.
And with that, let's talk to Taylor Gray. All right, so as promised, we're sitting down with the 20-year-old who drives the number 54 Toyota for Joe Gibbs Racing, and he got into a little kerfuffle this weekend. I think kerfuffle is probably a good word to use there. It's Taylor Gray. Taylor, welcome to the show. It's very nice to have you on. How's everything going?
Yeah, it's going good. Thanks for inviting me on. It's cool. I love your guys' show, so it's cool.
I appreciate that. You have 6 top 10s in 19 races that you've run over the last 2 years in the Xfinity, and you were on the brink of putting a win on that record, and then it was taken away from you, rudely taken away from you. It's a couple of days removed. We're taping this on Wednesday afternoon. It's a couple of days removed. How are we now versus how you were afterwards when you looked like you were ready to fucking, take the cannolis, leave the gun type thing on him? How's the feeling now?
Man, I'm still pretty pissed.
Okay.
Yeah,
good answer.
Pissed. Yeah. I mean, it is what it is, right? I mean, it's kind of one of those deals where it is what it is, and unfortunately, if I could go back and redo that moment, I probably would, and just try to maybe do one thing a little different so I don't give up my left rear as much as I did getting into 3 to allow them to just absolutely clean me out. But yeah, I'm still pretty pissed.
I loved seeing after the race the Infield Care Center, which unfortunately warranted you a $5,000 fine. You and Sammy Smith going after each other a little bit. I thought it was kind of cowardly how he was like yelling, "Come at me," behind like 3 security dudes. But since then, since you guys have left the track, has anyone at JRM or Sammy Smith himself reached out to you to discuss what had happened?
No one at JRM. I was actually on a run yesterday, and mid-run, I'm like kind of tired, kind of a little bit gassed. I'm on a 3-mile run. I'm like 2 miles into it, and I'm just kind of over it, ready to be done running. And I looked down at my phone. I get like a little notification on my watch. I look down at my phone. I see his name. I'm like, not today. And just declined it. Not today.
Yeah. Unread.
Besides that, no, I haven't heard anything.
I have 2 questions. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. Do you expect to have that conversation prior to your guys' next race, or is this something that you guys will just kind of work out on track? Where do you go from here?
I mean, if it's up to me, I won't ever speak to him again. Honestly, like if it's up to me, like I don't really care. I don't have any words for him. I don't need to have a discussion with him.
I have a 2-part question. The Infield Care Center we spoke about a little earlier in this episode apparently is hallowed ground. That's what got you the $5,000 fine. It's sort of like you're going into a church to challenge some young man to fisticuffs. Did you know about that beforehand, that that's a taboo place to do it, as opposed to punching Kyle Busch in the face over by the haulers? That type of stuff seems to be okay. Being somewhere else and you can get into a little bit of a scrap is okay. Is it hallowed ground that you guys knew about beforehand and you were just being, road ragey at the moment? And my second follow-up to that is, who's paying the $5,000 fine? Whose pocket is that coming out of?
Yeah. So no, I don't know if I'm the first one to ever get that fine or not, but no, I never knew anything about it. Actually, whenever I got outside the media center, I had a couple people tell me to go inside and try to get away from the media. I was like, okay, that's fine. And so we walked inside the building, and then he walked in, and they say it was a confrontation. I guess my version of confrontation is a little different to them, but we had a couple of choice words, and then walked outside, and that's whenever you saw that whole deal kind of go down on camera. But no, I never knew it was a thing. Honestly, I don't know if I'm the first one to ever get that. Me and Jeb Burton are the first ones to ever get that or not. And unfortunately, I think I'm going to have to pay the fine.
Isn't that just the salt on the wound? The cherry on the shit cake, that you get robbed of a win, and then all you have to show for it is not, a participation trophy, but a bill for $5,000. That's also got to steam your broccoli a little bit, no?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Okay, good.
destroyed by the guy, and then I go confront him. I got to pay $5,000 for it. So yeah, it definitely sucks. Wasn't too pumped about it.
It seemed like your car really came alive in stage 2. At what point did you realize that you had a car capable of winning the race, and what were your expectations for the result of that race, given all the aggressive restarts we saw out of your car?
I'll be honest, leaving practice on Friday, I was like, nah, yeah, no one's beating us this weekend. Like we're good. Like I was pumped. I was really happy with my car. We didn't really make any changes at all, hardly throughout the whole weekend. I was super pumped with my car, and I knew getting close to the end of the race, the restarts were going to get pretty rough, especially whenever the 8 started choosing behind me. I knew they were going to start getting pretty rough, and I think where I kind of got sideways with Sammy was the first chance he got. I think it was within 35 to go or so. He jacked up the back of my car every chance he got an entry, and was trying to either shuck me out of the way far enough to where I couldn't get back to him, or wreck me. He wasn't doing it hard enough to where it would get me too upset. I could just really drag a bunch of brake and kind of get him checked up behind me and be okay. And then obviously we all saw he did it the second to last restart hard enough to where he got the lead from me. So that's honestly where I got so sideways with him. And he said in his interview I was flipping him off, and I told him, I was like, yeah, dang right I was, because every chance you got, I was like, I haven't touched you all year. And I said, every chance you got, you jacked me up in the middle of the corner. I was like, yeah, I flipped you off.
Can you do us a favor and just so we know what he saw, can you flip me and Spider off right now to see whether or not it enrages us more than the normal? Because we've had Denny throw up the 11s here for us before, and it had little to no effect on me. I don't know what is so infuriating about a Taylor Gray bird that's different from anybody else's, because it seemed like that would be an overreaction.
Yeah, man, I don't know. He doesn't like being flipped off, I guess.
Yeah, that seems kind of soft. But something I feel like we've come to learn to see in these races, especially short track racing or even on the Xfinity level, is a lot of carnage, a lot of chaos. Was that something you expected coming into this race, and how surprised were you when that's kind of how the race ended?
I think going into the race, I think as a driver, everyone kind of expects, we're going to get probably moved out of the way. There's going to be, typical Martinsville contact, like just kind of dooring each other a little bit, moving each other out of the group and things like that. But I don't know how many cautions ended up happening throughout the race.
I just there were 15.
15. I think I heard somebody say there was like close to 100 laps of under caution.
I think 104. If my stats are correct.
So there's a problem there, right? And I think everybody's recognized that, like, that's not right. I guess I'm going on a limb here and maybe put myself out there to might get a little bit in trouble, but whenever you see the truck race and you're like, oh man, the truck race was more clean than the Xfinity race, that's a problem at Martinsville. That's a problem. So yeah, I think you always expect to have a little bit of contact here and there at Martinsville. It's kind of typical for that place. It kind of honestly brings that out in all of us, and then kind of what you have to do to be okay there, and be good there and not get completely ran over. But there was a line crossed for sure in our race.
What do you think it's going to take to have more cleanliness in the Xfinity series? Is that something that's even important? Obviously.
Yeah, it's definitely important, right? At least for me, I'm trying to go race on Sundays, and I guess necessarily some of the owners, right? They're going to look at the race as an overall, as a whole, and they're going to be like, that's not great. I don't really know that we want to look at anybody right now coming up to the series if they all keep racing like this. And unfortunately, you can have 70% of the guys race like that, and the rest of the percentage of the guys might not race like that, but you're still going to be looped in with the 70% that are driving through everybody, and it just makes the whole series not look great, right? So we have to get back on tracks. I think Xfinity series is the most fun series to watch right now. I think the cars are so much fun to watch. The racing is typically really good. So I think Martinsville was a really poor showing for our series, and we just have to get back on track. In terms of getting there, I don't know what that's going to take, whether it's, penalties right on the spot. I've heard a couple guys mention that and suggest that. And maybe just make bigger penalties. Like I think the 50-point, $25,000 penalty from this past weekend, I don't think it was a bad penalty, but unfortunately, 50 points only put them 1 point out of the cut line, right, for the playoffs. So at the end of the day, okay, what is that? What are we really doing here? I mean, I understand that that's a pretty big penalty typically, like anywhere else you go, but he had a decent points gap to where I only put him 1 point out of the cut. So what did we really learn? You know what I mean? Besides the public shaming, right? I mean, I think he's gotten hammered pretty good on social media, so that's probably hasn't been too fun, but.
Yeah, so in addition to obviously Sammy Smith being in the crosshairs this week, it seems like the Xfinity Series was. I mean, Denny Hamlin called it absolute garbage on Twitter. Christopher Bell said it was an embarrassing disgrace to the sport. Does stuff like that weigh on these Xfinity drivers, and do you think that will change anything, or is that just kind of criticism?
I hope it changes stuff. I hope that everyone starts to kind of get their act together, and I honestly, like, like years ago, whenever I was younger, like I'm not proud of some of the stuff that I did whenever I was younger racing. So I've learned, and people have hammered on me whenever I was younger that that's not right. Like we don't do things that way. And the last few years, like I've take pride in the way I race people, and I feel like I'm a pretty clean guy, but I'm also the guy that if you're going to race me a certain way, then I'm going to race you the same way back. So yeah, I mean, I hope it kind of weighs on some of the guys and kind of gets us back to the normal Xfinity racing that everyone loves.
Is there a hypocrisy involved with the way that this has been reported? Because a lot of the older drivers who have come down hard on Sammy, people on social are very but what about that time in 1998 when you ran that guy into the fence? Like everyone's done it. And I know there was a time where the Gray brothers were absolute fucking menaces on the track, right? But that was when you guys were younger, and you kind of grown out of that. But doesn't everybody sort of have that in their, resume, in their past, where they've lost their fucking minds? Because can we chalk that up maybe and move forward for you in order to get some closure? This kid just lost his fucking mind and he learned his lesson and moved on. Or is it one of those things where that's it? He's going to be labeled as somebody who's a reckless driver who does not make good decisions. Because you yourself have grown in the past, 3, 4, 5 years. I'm sure you admit that, right?
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, I'm the perfect example of guys that made poor decisions years ago, and I feel like I've cleaned it up in the last, like you said, 3, 4, 5 years. So no, I mean, I wouldn't, like, for Sammy's sake, I wouldn't want everyone to label him as, oh, well, F you, you're horrible, you're never gonna make it, and this is it for you. I hope not, for his sake. Like I don't think that's fair, but I think it's going to probably take the rest of the year for him to show that he's cleaned it up and willing to clean it up.
But you've had some issues, like you had that issue with Eckes at Martinsville too. So can I turn this around and say the problem might be you? You're just an asshole in Martinsville and people want to fucking come at you. What do you do there that makes you such a bad fucking guy?
I have no idea. There's somewhere where I did something wrong. And I'm like, gosh, man, I can't win a clock.
Exactly. Yeah, the clocks hate you. Yeah.
Gosh.
What do you got, buddy?
Yeah, so Lars just asked you about the the driver development and the changes and increase in your skill that we've seen the last couple years. Talk to me about the next couple years as opposed to looking back. Let's look forward. Where do you see yourself within 3, 4, 5 years, and what ultimately is your goal, and what do you think your ceiling is in the sport?
Yeah, I mean, I think ultimately the goal, right, is to be racing on Sundays and being competitive in that series. It's a long road. Like it is so hard. I don't think people truly understand, unless obviously you're in it, on how hard it goes from racing trucks to Xfinity and then moving to the Cup level. Like it is just a completely different world. It's a completely different animal. But yeah, I mean, my goal is to be racing on Sundays and not in the near future, but in the future as my career progresses. In terms of ceiling, man, I don't know. I think I have potential to be really good and to go far, like really far in the sport and be good. It's just I think what it takes with everybody, it's just hard work. Just got to keep putting in the hours and working hard and keeping your head down.
You're only 20 years old, so obviously still pretty youthful in your career. Growing up, was there a guy that you rooted for? And I guess right now, who would you compare your driving skill set to?
I always was a huge Jimmy Johnson fan. Just how not necessarily just because he won 7 championships and won all these races, but more so just how he approached the sport. And I mean, he's a 7-time champion. He's the most humble guy I've ever met in my entire life.
Right.
Like he doesn't have to be like that. Like he can just do whatever and not have to worry about it. But his mentality and the way he approached sport and how he did it on his way, and I loved that.
Is there, so what people are saying, in order for the Xfinity series to kind of police itself, you have to look towards some of the veterans who are in that series. Allgaier is the guy they point out right away. And I think like Allgaier's like, what am I going to do? I'm going to get in the middle of guys and try to do it. But you do see some of the older guys try to impart some wisdom on the younger guys. We just saw it in the Cup level when Carson Hocevar had, Ross Chastain go over to him trying to give him some guidance. So are there some elder statesmen there that you think some of the younger guys, some of the younger punks, particularly at Martinsville, like you're a Martinsville punk is what I'm making out to be. Is there some guys that you look to for that veteran kind of guidance?
Man, it's tough. I think it can work, but people are going to have to be willing to listen and let their egos down and understand that we this is a time we need to listen, not talk. You know what I mean? And be able to accept that information and the guidance and really apply it. I think it has potential of working, but the people receiving the information and the guidance have to be willing to change.
Your family went from drag racing to now you and your brother in stock cars. Talk to me about that transition. What is it about NASCAR racing that's really hooked you? And what advice would you give to the next generation of people that have the same interests that you do?
Yeah, so the drag racing side of things, I obviously never drag raced. I was just around it a ton and grew up into it. But yeah, I mean, it's two completely different worlds. I mean, like it's just, I don't even know how to explain it, honestly. From a driving standpoint, obviously, I don't know. But just, in the garage or in the pits, like drag racing, everyone, sorry, jeez, guys, stop. I got 3 dogs in here, dude.
Yeah, that's awesome.
The drag racing world, everyone's friends. Like you're buddies with everybody, and hey, stop. You're buddies with everybody, and everything's cool. And you kind of come to the NASCAR side, and you might have your few friends here and there, but you bring your friends with you to the racetrack. Like you don't really go around and talk and have fun or anything like that with your friends. So definitely different from a personal level from the two sports. But I mean, obviously, it's just different, and I don't really know how to explain it. Besides the fact that it's just way different.
What about this weekend? So we're going to Darlington. We've asked this from other drivers on different occasions, but having people in that race on Saturday, I think Chase is going to be wheeling the 17 for Henrik, which, been passed around between Larson, Byron, and Chase. And I think Seabella is also going to be on the driver's list for that thing. How do you feel about that? How do you feel to have those guys who are driving on Sunday all of a sudden getting to compete against them on Saturday? Is it almost unfair, or is it something that you want to do and hit like head on?
I love it. I wish a Cup guy was in our race every weekend. I love it. It allows me to learn more than what I'm already learning throughout the race from these guys and how they race other people and kind of the different moves they're making and things like that. It allows me to get better and learn from all the years of they've of racing. So I love it. I wish they'd race every weekend.
Christopher Bell came on our show a couple weeks ago, and he mentioned that Darlington was one of the toughest challenges that these drivers face on their lengthy schedule. Would you agree with that? What other tracks are some of the hardest that you run, and what are some of the best tracks for Taylor Gray?
Yeah, I think Darlington and Homestead are probably linked into the two of the harder tracks that we go to in the schedule. In terms of short track stuff, Xfinity doesn't necessarily go there anymore. I think Richmond's a tough place just because of tire conservation and kind of just seeing how a run plays out and things like that. I think, man, some of the best tracks for me. I love going to Kansas for a mile and a half. I mean, that place is so much fun. There's so many different places to run and different ways to get around guys. It's probably one of my favorite racetracks we go to. Unfortunately, we don't go there anymore, but Richmond was probably my favorite short track we went to. I loved Richmond. It was a fun place.
And I know Large loves asking this question, but most of the time we ask this, it's to Cup drivers. So I wanted to get your take, and I want you to choose someone just from the Xfinity level. Let's say you get in a bar fight or you get in an infield care center fight, and you could have one driver have your back you up in the fight. Again, an Xfinity driver. Who would you?
Austin Hill.
Oh, yeah.
Right now.
Austin Hill.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's
Right
a beast.
Yep.
Yeah, big dude.
Now,
I saw him punch Myatt Snyder, and I don't think I've ever seen someone get punched so hard in my life.
Yeah,
So-
I would not want to be on the receiving end of an Austin Hill punch. I'll tell you that.
So Sammy Smith hooks you. You go to the infield care center and you're ready to fucking rumble. Austin Hill hooks you and you're like, "I'm sorry, Mr. Hill. It must have been something I did."
Yeah.
You're totally okay, right? Is that one of those things?
Yeah, I'm just gonna be quiet. I'm just it's okay.
We're going to let you get out of here in 2 seconds, but can you just do our job for us and tell us exactly what we should be looking out for this weekend at Darlington?
In terms of my race car,
Driving, yeah. What's Taylor Gray's car going to look like after this race is done?
after this race is done, well, it's gonna be in victory lane. That's where we hope.
Yeah, stuck that shit.
Yeah, it's gonna be victory lane. It's probably gonna have a couple Darlington stripes on the right side of it, but it's gonna be victory lane with some two flat tires in the back.
Fantastic. We really appreciate your time coming on. I know that you have a lot of stuff going on this week. Good luck in paying the $5,000. I just ran out of money yesterday. Otherwise, we'd help you out. And this was Taylor Gray. You'll come on again, correct?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Thanks, you guys, for having me. I love your guys' show, and it was fun. You're talking about running out of money. My dog is pissed because I have to take it out of her toy fund.
What kind of dog do we have? Maybe we can get a quick shot of the dog.
Yeah, I've got a Newfoundland.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's a good-looking dog.
Ophelia.
Spider, what were you afraid the dog was going to be? That he was going to go down, it was going to be like a little Lhasa Apso, and then we were just made fun of him for the rest of his fucking life? You know what I mean?
Maybe like a Chihuahua or French Bulldog or something.
I've got two corgis too.
Okay.
I've got two corgis. They're back there somewhere. But.
Fantastic. We really do appreciate your time. We'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, no, thanks, guys.
All right, so that's Taylor Gray. I thought that was a great interview.
Yeah.
I didn't know what to expect since we haven't spoke to that young man before. We didn't know how mad he was going to be. 20-year-old guy just had like a win basically ripped away from him. I thought that was a great interview. I hope he comes back on.
I couldn't agree more, Large. And I'm unfortunate that we never, rubbed shoulders with him in real life, but we do appreciate him making the time, following him being in the news this week and giving us some time. So, and the other thing I want to say, as much as I was just flaming Denny Hamlin for being hypocritical, it's my turn to be hypocritical. I was formerly a big Sammy Smith guy, and, I liked Sammy. I was pulling for him. After this interview, I think I'm going to be Team Taylor. So, yeah, it's hard not to like him. He's a young, good driver with a lot of potential. He's well-spoken. He's humble. He's got a great-looking dog, as we saw. So
that's why I'm Team Sammy. Get you fucking dog squeak toys. I mean, if you guys are listening to Rubbin is Racing from beginning to end, God bless you. There was some plumbing work being done here. You can hear the fucking banging of the pipes earlier. I just heard the police because there's.
We heard that too.
Yeah, there's a golden shower going on the fucking corner out here because it's New York and it's a dump. And then I got to listen to Chew Toys the whole fucking time. I'm Team Sammy Smith.
Fuck that. Fuck you for saying that. That's part of the charm that makes this show great. Sometimes there's bagpipes. Sometimes there's sirens. Sometimes there's thunderstorms like there were today in Chicago. And I don't know if that was even being picked up, but we could hear the thunder clapping loud over our studio here. But yeah, no, fuck it. Team Taylor, big time. Big time. Also, I think it's funny that those two guys are seemingly two of the bigger dudes on the Xfinity series. I know Taylor mentioned he'd want Austin Hill to help back him up in a fight should he get in one, but Sammy Smith and Taylor Gray are both kind of bigger dudes, relatively speaking, amongst
it's the rest of the drivers.
Yeah, exactly. So I thought that was interesting.
I love that question. I do. But we continue to ask that question to Xfinity drivers who they want. I think it's going to be across the board. Everyone's going to say Austin Hill.
Yeah.
Like, it seems
I
like
don't-
he's that guy down there that would kick your ass.
I feel like we've asked that in the past and got like Caesar Baccarella, forgive me if I'm not saying that properly, or Jeffrey Earnhardt, who's got the MMA training. So
That's
I
right.
don't know.
That's
There
right.
could be some sleeper guys in the Xfinity series.
Let's talk about Darlington. Before I talked about Darlington, NASCAR, I want to remind you that Talladega is coming up. You got to experience the rush at Talladega. Get your NASCAR tickets now for edge of your seat action. Secure your seats today at NASCAR.com for Talladega or for any race. But this weekend, we got no trucks. They pick back up next week at Bristol. Xfinity has the Sports Clips Help a Hero 200 on Saturday at 3:30 on the CW. Chase Elliott's going to jump to the 17 for Henrik. C. Bell will be running, and so will Chastain. So we're going to have Chase Elliott, Ross Chastain, and Christopher Bell all running on Saturday at 3:30 on the CW. And then the Cup has the Goodyear 400, from Darlington Raceway at 3 p.m. on Sunday on FS1. We're in April, but this race used to run on Confederate Memorial Day on May 10th, in and around like Mother's Day weekend, but now it's been moved to April. 293 laps on a 1.3 mile oval with an asphalt surface. We all know about how it's kind of egg-shaped, the Darlington stripe. This is one of those places where you can have a lot of fucking madness go on as well. Henrik Motorsports is the team with the most Darlington wins, with 14 wins total. Brad Kay is the defending champ. His win last May, I don't know if you guys remember, but he broke that 110 race loss streak. And Ty Gibbs finished P2 in that race. So if you look at those guys, P1 and P2 last year, both those guys need a win. Brad Kay and Ty Gibbs. NASCAR Hall of Famer Carl Edwards will serve as the honorary starter for the race. Carl Edwards is going to be on the mic, I think, when Amazon starts covering this shit. So he's come out of hiding and he's doing everything. Carl Edwards is opening up car washes now at this fucking point. And that's it. And since it's throwback night, take a look at some of those schemes before you go and watch this race, because there are some absolute bangers. I don't know if you guys got to see any of the schemes that I had thrown on, but some of them are just absolutely fucking great, including Parker Retzlaff in the Xfinity is doing that Ernie Irvin throwback scheme, the old Kodak one.
Oh, that's my favorite.
I'm telling you, there are some, I know they're great every year. Kyle Larson's has the Terry Labonte Frosted Flakes one. They're so fucking great. So even just for that alone, for the potential for Spider to spend $1 million on diecast after the race is over, this is one of those races that you want to tune into. And again, if you get to the track, you can still get your seats at NASCAR.com.
I noticed something from that list, which
Oh.
I would think that I guess I don't know if this can like a NASCAR blog or whatever, but I would think the throwback schemes post is probably one of their top posts of the year for views.
Yes.
And somehow, which I guess I don't know if the teams send in their scheme or they just rip it from social media, but Brendan Poole got his. Everybody else has the picture of their car, and Brendan Poole's just a picture of his merch of the car.
It's
So
a
it's
great
like
shirt.
a free ad. Oh, it's a sick shirt.
Yeah.
Like I
All
want to
over
buy
the
this
print.
shirt. It's like is it like a Flintstones?
Yeah, that's what it reminded me of when I first saw it, but I'm not 100% sure.
So yeah, good free advertising for his merch.
Yeah, I think because that gentleman I see, that Tyler Pinnell guy who rates he gets on teams all the time for not getting their headshots in for on NASCAR.com.
Yeah, I saw that he was upset with us for talking about paint schemes. Like, are we really going to start gatekeeping the paint scheme ratings?
Yeah.
I mean, he does a great job. We've complimented him
Yeah,
a couple times on the show before, but I mean, forgive us for talking
Mad that we're
about
talking about him, or mad that we were not talking about him?
he was.
properly?
I don't know what the tweet was. It was.
Oh
something,
no, he's a fan and all that stuff. So I said
No,
it.
I'm just
He was
busting
busting our
balls.
chops,
Yeah.
being like, "Stay in your fucking lane, boys."
Yeah,
Which I love.
yeah,
I love the chatter. Just make sure you follow him on social media, Tyler Pinnell, and he does the paints. I find it, as we're changing paint schemes every week, if I don't get on NASCAR, I find it's an easy way to kind of see what everyone's running. Again, I don't like the McDonald's one that Bubba is running. I don't know why I like this minimalist shit. I don't like the minimalist shit, but otherwise there's some real fucking bangers out there. What else do we have to talk about? Oh, we got to pick some winners. Picking the tires is brought to you by DraftKings. and the finals for March Mania are here. And the only thing for sure is it's the last time to bet on college basketball this season. It's been an amazing ride to get here, full of the unexpected happening. Maybe there will be more. Get in on all the action, expected and unexpected, with DraftKings Sportsbook. Live betting, exclusive content, promos and parlays. DraftKings is the ultimate college basketball destination for March. Ready to make your first bet? Check out the matchups and pick a team to win. It's that simple. If it's your first time, here's something special just for you. New DraftKings customers, bet $5 to get $150 in bonus bets instantly. Bet the unexpected with DraftKings Sportsbook. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use the code Rubbin. That's Rubbin for new customers to get $150 in bonus bets when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings. The crown is yours. I don't have any real strong feelings about this weekend, but if anyone wants to go first with theirs, I'm sure I'm not going to dupe them. So go ahead.
Yeah, I'll go first. I don't mind. Large, you reminded me of Ty Gibbs' success here last year, and he's plus 180 for a top 10. So I'm going to start with that. Now, I know that's probably a sucker bet the way he's been running, but
no, I like that.
At 10 spots, he can potentially finish in and basically get that 2-1. So I'll take that. And then to actually win the race, I think I'm going to go with Tyler Reddick, who's 6.5-1, plus 650 on DraftKings. And those are going to be my two plays this week. But again, I'm going to be on that Pick 6 app, and I will post a lineup as we get closer to race day. And I implore everyone to check it out. You only got to be 18 plus. It's in several states that sports books are not legal in. And the best part about Pick 6 is it's more fantasy as opposed to just gambling. So you can do like driver finishing position as well as total fantasy points accrued in a race, fastest lap, etc. And you can pick anywhere from 2 to 6, I believe, combinations. And the more you put in there and get correct, the more you can potentially win. You also get more payout for the more rare your picks are, as Quiggs did.
I did it last week. Spider convinced me. I walked out, did his little promo code, put a $10 bet on Wednesday of 6 guys finishing positions, hit every single one, $10 paid $501. And I didn't even know I hit it. I forgot I put it in. And I saw it on Monday.
If you do 6 picks and only get 5 of them correct, you get your money back. So
I think you might, maybe, I don't want to promise even more, but
go
I think
to
maybe
dkng.co/spiderpicks to sign up. If you sign up on Pick 6, DraftKings Pick 6 app, and wager just $5, you'll get up to $50 in credits. So maybe just wager on NBA, MLB, any other sport for just $5. Get the $50 in credits, and then throw a hammer like Quiggs did. You could potentially.
That's my new system, because I think it's better than doing the big parlay things that I try to do for NASCAR just on the normal sports book. I think I go just kind of straight winners and stuff on that, and then put in a Pick 6 every week. And
so I got Tyler Reddick plus 650 on DraftKings. I got Ty Gibbs plus 180 for a top 10, and then I got a Pick 6 play that should be coming on my Twitter in the next coming days. Guys, what do you?
I'm gonna do that for the first time this week, Spider.
Yeah, it's fun.
I'm gonna sign up for it. What else you got? Quixie or Moonhead? Do you have anything?
I like Eric Jones top 10. I know Legacy hasn't run great, but Jones is really, really good at Darlington. Got a couple of wins. And then I think this is the week Briscoe finally shines at Gibbs. I think I'm going to take him to win the thing. He's another driver. Hasn't had, I guess, the success in Cup at Darlington like we saw in Xfinity, but I don't know. I'm a Chase Briscoe believer, and I feel like that team's slowly starting to fire on all cylinders.
I'm kind of there with you, but I was looking at Briscoe to buck the trend, and I took him as top Toyota just to give him some room to fall down. And I mean, that has him finishing above Christopher Bell, Denny Hamlin, and Tyler Reddick, but it's plus 600. I kind of like that bet, so I'm going to grab Briscoe as my as top Toyota. Quiggsy, you got anything special?
Yeah, this one was tough for me. So I look at the races. I try to do like historic races and just do the Gen 7 cars since they've been racing them. So last 6 races, nobody in the field has an average finish better than 10. There's nobody that has an average top 10 finish. But it also, all the winners have been good cars. It's not like it's just like a crapshoot. So I'm going with the guy. I just went with who has the most laps led, and that kind of put me between Kyle Larson and Tyler Reddick. And I think I'm gonna go because there hasn't been a repeat winner in these new cars. I think I'm gonna go Tyler Reddick to get his first win there at plus 650.
Plus
Yeah.
650. Yeah.
So I'm gonna do that. And I never do an Xfinity bet, but I like Chase at plus 1,000. I think those are really good odds for him.
So I'm going to do Briscoe as best Toyota. I'm also going to take Blaney to win at plus 700. I'm looking forward to Blaney having a triumphant return to his winning ways, and it might start this week. So I'll take Blaney at plus 700. I almost wanted to be really chalky and take Larson because it's plus 450. I won't do anything chalky if it's under 400. So I'll probably add Larson to my ticket, and that'll give me a Chevy, a Ford, and a Toyota. So that's it. That's it for us. In case, so DKNG is you're gonna look at Spider's social media, and he'll put out the pick six, all the info. If you weren't able to write it down, I'm gonna get on that for the first time this week. I don't know if we have anything else to cover. A new episode of You Got to Try This is dropping today as well. I got Big John Fisher from England on. Bosh.
That's been great. I've been watching all the clips and some of the full episodes. I love it.
Yeah, thanks, man. I appreciate it. So that's all we got for this week. We're not scheduled to be at a race until Talladega, but it's going to be a fucking banger. And we'll see you next week on Rubbin is Racing.
Peace.
So long.
Oh, yeah, so long.